Alright, buckle up, because we're about to take a whirlwind tour through some of the world's most significant alliances, all explained in a way that might just make you the life of the next history-themed trivia night. We're talking NATO, BRICS, the Allied Powers, and more. But don't worry, we'll keep it light, snappy, and just a little bit cheeky. NATO, the OG security squad. First up, we've got NATO, or as I like to call it, the No Angry Titans Organization. Founded in 1949, NATO was like the ultimate squad goals for countries looking to keep the Soviet Union in check during the Cold War. Picture this: 12 nations, basically the Avengers of the post-war world, coming together to say, hey, if you mess with one of us, you mess with all of us. That's the whole idea behind Article 5, which is like the friendship bracelet of international security. An attack on one is an attack on all. Fast forward to today, and NATO's got 31 members, with North Macedonia being the new kid on the block. They've moved from just keeping an eye on the Soviets to tackling all sorts of global security issues. It's like that friend who started off just watching your back on the playground and now helps you navigate life's bigger challenges. BRICS, the new kids on the block. Next, we've got BRICS, the cool kids from the Emerging Economies Club. BRICS stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. A group that got together not to play Dungeons and Dragons, but to shake up the global economy. Originally, it was just BRIC until South Africa slid into the DM in 2010, making it BRICS. These countries are like the transformers of global economics, big, powerful, and not to be underestimated. Together, they cover over a quarter of the world's land and house, more than 40% of the global population. They're all about creating a multipolar world where no single country, cough, the US, cough, calls all the shots. They've got the muscle to back it up too, with about a quarter of the world's GDP in their collective pocket. Allied Powers, the original dream team. Now, let's rewind to the early 20th century, when the Allied Powers were the squad you wanted on your side in a fight. In World War I, it was the United Kingdom, France, and Russia holding the line against Germany, Austria-Hungary, and the Ottoman Empire. Think of them as the Justice League of the early 1900s. They even got some late-game help from the United States, which was like Superman showing up just when things were looking dicey. By World War II, the Allied Powers roster had evolved to include heavy hitters like the US, the Soviet Union, and China, with a cameo from Free France after Germany took over the country. They went head-to-head with the Axis powers, Germany, Italy, and Japan, in a battle of epic proportions, kind of like the ultimate showdown in a superhero movie. Spoiler alert, the Allies won, leading to the surrender of Germany in May 1945 and Japan in September 1945. Axis powers, the villains of the story. Speaking of the Axis powers, they were basically the supervillain trio of World War II. Led by Germany under the not-so-great direction of a certain Austrian painter with delusions of grandeur, the Axis powers were all about expansion and domination. Germany started things off with the annexation of Austria and rolled right into an invasion of Poland in 1939, which kicked off the whole war. Italy, under Mussolini, was dreaming of a new Roman Empire, while Japan, led by Emperor Hirohito's militaristic government, was making moves to control Asia and the Pacific. They were all about conquering and dividing the world, but in the end, their plans fell apart faster than a house of cards in a windstorm. Warsaw Pact, NATO's Cold War counterpart. The Warsaw Pact was like NATO's frenemy from the other side of the Iron Curtain. Established in 1955 by the Soviet Union and its Eastern European buddies, Albania, Bulgaria, Czechoslovakia, East Germany, Hungary, Poland, and Romania. This alliance was all about countering NATO's influence. It was basically the Soviet Union's way of saying, anything you can do, we can do too. The Warsaw Pact was involved in some serious Cold War drama, like putting down the Hungarian Revolution in 1956 and the Prague Spring in 1968. But by the time the Soviet Union started to unravel in the late 80s and early 90s, the Warsaw Pact was on life support. It was officially disbanded in 1991, right after the Soviet Union itself called it quits. The European Union, from coal and steel to continental powerhouse. Moving on to something a bit more peaceful, we've got the European Union. What started as a simple coal and steel deal in 1951 has grown into a full-blown political and economic union of 27 countries. The EU is like the neighborhood watch of Europe, but instead of just keeping an eye out for burglars, they're handling everything from trade to environmental protection to human rights. The EU's goal is to keep the peace, boost the economy, and make sure everyone in the club is getting along. It's a bit like a giant, very complicated group project, but with a lot more at stake than just a grade. ASEAN, Southeast Asia's social club. ASEAN, or the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, is like the friendly neighborhood club where everyone's looking out for each other. Founded in 1967 by Indonesia, Malaysia, the Philippines, Singapore, and Thailand, ASEAN now includes 10 countries working together to keep the region stable, prosperous, and culturally connected. ASEAN's all about promoting economic growth, keeping the peace, and making sure Southeast Asia has a strong voice on the global stage. Think of it as the regional family dinner where everyone brings a dish to the table and they all work together to make sure no one leaves hungry. OSI, the voice of the Muslim world. Last but not least, we've got the OIC, or the Organization of Islamic Cooperation. Founded in 1969 after an attack on the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem, the OIC is like the United Nations for the Muslim world. With 57 member states representing over 1.8 billion Muslims, the OIC is all about promoting solidarity, protecting Islamic holy sites, and tackling issues like Islamophobia. The OIC is the place where Muslim-majority countries come together to discuss and address the challenges they face, both within their borders and on the global stage. It's a bit like a family reunion, where everyone's working together to support each other and their shared interests.